welcome back everyone. This is the final part of the live stream. We're going to be finishing up the Lego Daily Bugle. So we're on bag 15. We already have the two minifigs out, Firestar and Blade, and these are some of the very best ones. And let's go ahead and get started. So it looks like we're going to be starting by building the roof, actually. And the roof is actually where some of the coolest stuff in the entire set really even is. So I'm excited about it. And even though we're building the roof, there is kind of some kinship with, it's kind of a rhythm to this build. It's kind of like when you built the floors in each part. So at least that kind of has sort of that similar feeling to how each one of these levels start. And that's been something I've really been pleasantly surprised by, is the sort of rhythm that the build has. It's actually been fairly welcome. And the roof is built very much the same like the floors were for each different level. So it's nice to have some kinship anyway with how the rest of it's done. All right. Okay, there's your supports. I'm never exactly sure with the instructions if I'm putting these in the right positions or not, but you know what? Close enough. All right. Then on over. Can't wait to see how this thing looks when it's finally all complete. And it's already huge. I've joked about it before earlier in the live stream, but I legitimately believe I am just going to put it on my coffee table for now. And that's done out of necessity. Like, there's no way I can fit this in a shelf right now. It's just going to have to be out till I figure out exactly how to handle it. But it's a good problem to have, I guess, when you're dealing with like a skyscraper build. You want it to be as vertical, I guess, as possible. So it's a good thing, I would say. Nice problem to have. Certainly a lot better than the old days when we got that Daily Bugle that was like tiny. It might have been 2 levels or something. It was like, and saying it looked like it was halfway done is really being pretty generous. I would say that it looked more like it was a quarter of the way done or 1/6 of the way done. It's pretty easy to find. Yeah, that could be a way. Just maybe the display option is me just holding it. Like I just have it setting in the floor. And then maybe, you know, if I want to come down to the basement and just look at it, I just grab it, I hold it, and hope I don't drop it. Which I will say to their credit on this set that it is so much more sturdy than some of the old sets that were of large buildings. This one I sort of think I could lug it around, I guess, if I wanted to. Not that I would really want to necessarily. Of course, the trouble is the modular levels on this thing, which are designed to come out pretty easy. That may be a detriment if you're trying to keep it in one piece, but I guess as long as you're holding it by the bottom, everything should just stay on there with gravity. So, I don't know. There's good and bad things about it, I suppose. All right, we have a solid roof now. And let's finish out the frame. feel like a lot of care has been taken in the way that they've assembled the roof to make sure that nothing is going to come apart very easily, or it won't do that horrible flexing kind of thing that some of them do when everything's just like on a solid base plate. It's really irritating when you get that kind of flexing motion. There it is. Okay. And I think that may be the frame. Yep. That's it. Turn it over and let's get to it. Well, this is interesting. So apparently we're just going to line the entire rectangle with 1x4s. I guess that will kind of build the crowning detail, like the ledges. So that's cool. I kind of wonder how much of the design process at Lego, at the Lego group, is just, I wonder how much of it is physical building with pieces, or is it pretty much all done virtually, like in the little design program, and then they start prototyping. For me, it would be hard not to actually have real pieces and just sit there, you know, and try things like that. Whereas I guess virtually, you're so much more flexible. You don't have to find pieces, and which, you know, imagine working at Lego. I would imagine they have like a filing system for all the pieces that they need. I mean, there would be no other real way to do it efficiently, so. Okay. Then this is some rare printed pieces in this set. Practically everything has been a sticker, but for some reason, I guess they printed the vents onto this, which I'm just glad that there is some printing, because I'm glad that we have the hardest stickers over with, or at least what I think are the hardest stickers. I hope that the other ones go well, but the stickers, it's always a incredibly frustrating thing. But I've been a broken record the whole time saying that, so. And it's only because I'm trying to get it perfect. If I wasn't worried about that, it wouldn't be a problem. Okay. Let me adjust my light. We're getting some shadow. Ah, that's better. All right. Now we need some flats. I think these are the supports for the water tower, I think. Or the little designation, like the little square. Okay. And I've said it all through the build, but I'll say it again. It does amaze me how fast this bag is going. Because I'm looking down and it's like there's really not a lot of pieces left, honestly. All right, we have some of the little studded support pieces. At least we're not having to build the giant support beams anymore with all the studs on them. That was a little nauseating. All right, and now we use 24 of these. So this is just like the little edges of the roof. I think Lego has struggled for a lot of years when it comes to Spider-Man and it comes to playset builds, because there's not a lot that you can do for famous Spider-Man locations aside from the Daily Bugle. I mean, the Spider Lair is more of a movie thing. It's more of a Into the Spider-Verse thing. It's not really a comic book thing. I mean, it kind of is now, I guess, but the DNA of Spider-Man, or what Spider-Man is, there's not, like, it's not really about a costume vault and like a, like a Batcave setup. That is not it. And I guess it's that Peter is so relatable, and that makes it a little harder to have all the trappings of a Fortress of Solitude or a Batcave or anything like that. So I do think it's been a struggle for Lego to I think they've just had to just create stuff over the years. And this is one of the first times that it's just been something that has lended itself completely to a build, and not something that they created just like to appease a younger audience, or something that they've just had to construct completely on their own, like a mech or a spider car of some sort. And the spider car that's in this is based on kind of the joke concept from the comics. So it is interesting to finally see them do something that is comic accurate and lends itself naturally to a Lego set. Not what they've been doing previously. But, you know, other than doing the Daily Bugle, I'm not 100% sure what else that there is. Like, I'm trying to think. Maybe y'all can help me out with what they should do. Like for Spider-Man, there's several things in the Marvel Universe. And heck, you can do Doctor Doom's castle, you know, if you want to. That's kind of getting a little more obscure, but still. I mean, what would you do? Peter's apartment? I mean, you would have to Spider-Man the thing up quite a bit. Because, you know, even though these are 18 plus sets, I think there still has to be some sort of spontaneity. There's got to be some kind of fantasy to them. Amazing fantasy, if you will. At least I think there has to be. I don't think that Lego as a company is going to put out something that is, here is a building and that's it. You know, unless you're looking at the Lego Creator line or something like that. And that's its own thing. And then there's an element of customization for that kind of gives it its excitement. That's kind of its gimmick. But then again, there's things like Assembly Square and those sorts of builds that are, you know, just buildings. But there's so much interesting things going on in them. I know they did the toy store a little while back. That actually looked pretty cool. I really wish that every couple of years or every 3 or 4 years they would come out with a new iteration of just a Lego store in Lego. For some reason, that really appeals to me. And here in the United States, Toys R Us isn't a thing anymore. But I know it is in Canada. And I would love to have a buildable Toys R Us. That would be great. And I'm telling you, I would pay for something really nice too. Like, it wouldn't have to be something small and affordable, in my opinion. Like, I would really, if they made it like super nice, like I would seriously buy a $300 set that was just a Toys R Us that you build with all the different departments and sections. I mean, how cool would that be? Maybe I'm in the minority there, but that's me wearing nostalgia goggles, real hot and heavy, I guess. And then I would want it to be like the old boring layout of Toys R Us before they try to make it so hip. Like that. That's what I would want. It would be a detriment to the build if it was trying to be too cool. I remember I hated it when Toys R Us tried to like do the thing like circular aisles. Like they didn't have just straight long aisles anymore. They like, everything was like little islands that you had to go to. It was really disorienting, actually. I remember when Toys R Us was like that. They switched it back, thankfully. So it wasn't a thing anymore after that. Probably because the feedback wasn't great. So it's hard to believe that corporate greed has ran institutions like Toys R Us completely out of business. And people will be quick to say something like, well, everybody buys everything on the internet now. No, they don't. Not everything. I mean, if Toys R Us had been properly managed at a corporate level, Toys R Us didn't go out because of low sales. I mean, that was just part of, you know, the reason. I think they would have been fine. There's lots of retail locations that are having low sales. But it was just the corporate side of it, the management of it, and Toys R Us fell victim to a leveraged buyout. I think that's what they call it. Where basically a company whose sole purpose is to absorb other companies and then spread their corporate debt to those companies for tax reasons. That's what it was. Toys R Us was a debt mule, if there's a better term for it. I'm not sure there is. But it's just super disappointing that it happened. I mean, you know, I know that a lot of people including myself. You know, we buy things online, but there's certain things you want to grab it in person. It's just not the same buying it on the internet. And honestly, I think for kids, toys are part of that, especially kids. I think adults are kind of adult collectors like myself. I think we're kind of I'm over fighting people in stores trying to get stuff. I'm just done with it. Practically everything is bought online. This was bought online, but then again, there's no Lego store near us, so closest one is in Louisville. And that feels like 1,000,000 miles away, so. I have never actually been inside a physical Lego store. That is how unreachable the Lego store seems to me. When you live in rural America, you're not going to have access. It's just not a thing. You never know. Lego stores, their days may be numbered, actually, like physical Lego stores. Saw where the Disney store is closing at many, many, many retail locations, and that includes the one in Fayette Mall. Hey, Daniel. How you doing, man? Hanging in there? And are you building anything good, brother? It's the main thing. I'm getting ready to finish building something good, as you can see. This is where you get nervous at the end of a build. You're like, okay, you get the last bag and Lego has shorted you like 8 pieces. It's not happened in a while to me. I remember I was missing a very important piece for the Force Awakens Poe Dameron Black X-Wing. And that was, when did the Force Awakens come out? 2016, something like that. They should probably just start referring to the Force Awakens as A New Hope 2.0, because it is essentially just a remake of A New Hope with a new coat of paint. And I know that that's what they were going for, so it's fine. It's fine. I like The Force Awakens. Fun movie. It did not end up going, I think, in a direction people wanted it to go. Honestly, I just want to see George Lucas's versions of the sequels now. We saw Disney's, and it was okay for what it was. Oh, wow. Man, redoing the city. That is a big deal, like you said, because it's a big investment in time, but it's also kind of a risky thing, isn't it? Like you redo it and you hope for the best, and you feel like you could mess it up, you know, and there's a lot of risk reward involved in remapping out, like remapping, that's what we'll say, remapping a Lego city. I'm telling you, I'm getting to the point where I have so many like disparate Lego sets that I've kind of like poo-pooed the idea before, because I've been like, oh, I can't do that. But I am to the point where I'm like, okay, when do I just end up buying a big table and just setting it up and just doing the whole Lego City thing? Because before too long, I feel like it's going to be the only option I have. I hate disassembling sets and putting them into storage. That feels like a waste. Feels like, and I know that I will have to do that, and I have done that with sets in the past, but the truth is, I don't think I would have done that if not for moving several years ago. I think I would have been avoiding that, if at all possible. All right, we have all those details done there. And it looks like we're just doing some more ridges around. and this looks horribly confusing because I want to show you all. You have these shorter ones right here, and then you have these longer ones right here. And it seems very straightforward, you know, for you guys just to see them side by side. But I always feel like in the instructions that the visual representations of this stuff doesn't come across as that straightforward. It feels kind of iffy sometimes when you're assembling this stuff, but that's okay. We'll take it one piece at a time. And I'm just trying to eye it as I go to see which ones look like they're the little ones and which one look like the long ones. At least I know which ones the corner pieces are. Those are kind of obvious, right? Okay, this isn't too bad because they have kind of a pattern going. They do like a short one, then a long one, and then a short one again, I think. Yeah, that's not too bad. Could be worse. I love that they added the little ridges on the ends there because that keeps it from feeling like unfinished, like halfway done. And that's the last thing you want with a set like this. You don't want to get to the roof and realize, well, Lego just quit. They gave up. Said, well, good enough. And I do think they were very conscious of that with this set, that they wanted it to feel like the effort was there the whole way through, because it feels like something interesting and something special is going on every single level of this thing, which is an accomplishment for a build of this magnitude, I guess, is the term we'd use. All right. Next up, let's see what's on our next page. All right, looks like we finish this out. And some unexpected little variations here. We put this one here. Oh, I see. Okay, it's just a little added geometry there. Then we have smaller corners. I'm actually getting hyped about seeing what this is really going to be like once it's all the way done, because you never know till it's completely done. I'm very excited about it. I'm really excited to see what kinds of crazy poses. And, well, when you say poses, it's not like, you know, Lego minifigs can do a whole lot. But I guess what I mean is like placements. And with the web lines that it includes, that's what excites me. Like plugging the web lines, like to where you can do all kinds of the crazy angles with Spider-Man and Spider-Gwen and Miles Morales. And Venom, to a lesser extent, just like swinging around. I think that you can get some pretty epic displays going like that. So I'm really excited to see what I can come up with. Then I'm also curious to see just how easy or how difficult it's going to be to disassemble and look at each individual level. I think that's going to be its own kind of fun. All right, so we set this to the side for a second, and it looks like we're building the water tower, which, you know, hopefully will be relatively simple. So we start out with our disc piece here. And honestly, most of the bag 15 is done. At this point, it's just a matter of assembling the water tower, I think. Yeah, for me, and this is a funny way, YouTube has been a big stress reliever for me. And I'll tell you why for me is because I'm the type of person that I think I overly analyze probably everything. And to get my brain to kind of shut off sometimes, I kind of zone out and watch YouTube videos. And this is particularly helpful, you know, and I find channels I like and, you know, which are my hobbies and all of that. I find channels I like, and a lot of the times that is the last thing I will do before I go to sleep. I find that if I, you know, watch something like that or I'll watch like a live build or something, then that's going to be some pretty good, pretty decent stress relief for me. And it may be different for everybody. Just I hope that helps a little. But then, yeah. And then I found sometimes just going outside, and it sounds like the simplest thing in the world, but you would be surprised how getting some fresh air can change your perspective and kind of make things a little simpler. It kind of refocuses you, I suppose. If you live in, yeah, that can help. That can help because you don't want to feel, I think isolation is the very worst thing. And I think sometimes if we're depressed or we're anxious, I think that we feel, and we go into kind of a protective mode where we just kind of want to be to ourselves and not talk to anybody. And that's fine for some people. Like, I'm sure that's great for some people. But it's not really good for me. So I think that in my case, it's definitely more helpful to interact with non-toxic people. But that's not always what you'll find online, so you have to be careful. Have to be careful. All right. Now, it's funny that they have this blue center in here for what will be the water tower. Almost like a funny little suggestion of the actual water that's in it. It's one of those things Lego definitely doesn't have to do, but I think they just do it because it's fun. So, all right. And it looks like we're building out the bottom structure here. I don't often listen to music while I'm building, but something that I have found is that watching, just like putting a show on in the background, that I don't have to pay a huge amount of attention to. It is not a great idea to put a show on that you have to give your undivided attention to. I've tried that in the past, and I would end up having to, I couldn't give attention to both at the same time because I really do have a one-track mind. I can focus on one thing, and that's it. All right. But like I can put on, like, say, the Clone Wars. Just turn it on Disney Plus, and that seems to be a really good one to put on in the background. And here pretty soon, second viewings of Loki episodes will be a big one. Not first viewings, because I found that I really had to pay attention on that first viewing. Loved Loki. I do believe that episode 1 of Loki was the best Disney Plus premiere I've seen out of the Marvel shows. I think in this hobby, because I think anybody, watching this live stream, we all have this kind of hobby. We're all in this realm of kind of toy collecting and building. It can be kind of an isolating sort of hobby. Certainly, I think this kind of hobby is appealing for people who are a little more shy-natured. But there's nothing wrong with that. It takes all different kinds of people, And there's an old adage I always heard, and I think it's true. I'd rather be shy than be a loudmouth. And I don't mean to demean anyone who likes to talk, but sometimes we can show a lot more wisdom by listening rather than speaking. And my water tower almost jiggled itself over there. It is amazing how quickly the water tower is coming together because of these giant pieces. These are, I don't know if you'd say these are cheater pieces or what, but it's getting the job done mighty quick. So we do have some graffiti here. It looks like Miles Morales and the Green Goblin are in a tag war. It's all right. I will say, I think the Green Goblin is winning because I really like his tag a lot better. Look at this. Isn't that terrific? That's great. That's awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I do think it's looking good. I love how the water tower came together. Really nice little mini build here. All right. So we're just gonna plug this guy in, and sure enough, those flats were for the legs of the water tower to rest on. Okay, yeah, that looks nice. Here's something I didn't know we were going to build. It's like a little antenna. There may be a couple of these, actually. I think this is a great touch because if you're talking about like an office building like this, it's definitely going to have one of those giant communication arrays like at the top of it. I think we've all seen that, especially if it's the Daily Bugle, and different incarnations of the Daily Bugle has interpreted it different ways. Sometimes I feel like the Daily Bugle is interpreted more as a TV station than, or just as much anyway, as of a TV station as it is a newspaper, which is smart, I think, depending on what they do. But it's funny, I think especially some of the cartoons and things, they want to have it both ways. So you'll see like major plot points about J. Jonah Jameson getting on TV and like telling everybody that Spider-Man is a menace. I remember I was confused about J. Jonah Jameson a little bit when I was a kid because of that. Like I wasn't exactly sure if he was like a TV guy or he was a newspaper guy or what he was. You see, for me, actually, I was really introduced to J. Jonah Jameson by watching the 70s Spider-Man series with Nicholas Hammond. And I'm not that old, but my older sister was familiar with it, and she was old enough to where she had seen that when she was very small. And so that's when it came on the Sci-Fi Channel. That's where they were showing the reruns of the 70s Spider-Man show. that was where I got a whole lot of my Spider-Man information. And there's people that hate that show. And I totally understand why you do. It's not like one of those things where I'm like, no way, you can't hate that. No, 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 I get it. I get it. It's a little boring. And it's not very comic book accurate. There's no comic book villains, so I get it. I really do. But I love it. And I always will. And it's just one of those things. Never apologize for what you love. And it has everything to do with me watching it when I was a kid. But I honestly do think if most people would give it more of a shot and get over the whole hang up with, okay, there's no comic book villains. Yes, there's no comic book villains. Yes, that's been discussed. We know this. Green Goblin's not hanging out in the 70s Spider-Man show. It's just not happening. But that doesn't mean there aren't other good things about the series, because there really are. In particular, there's the guy who plays J. Jonah Jameson is really good. And he is really a predecessor to J.K. Simmons. I can't remember the name of the actor, but he's great. And then the episode with Robert Vaughn, which I mentioned earlier, the man from U.N.C.L.E., which I mentioned in an earlier live stream. He plays a mad scientist who's obsessed with cloning, so that kind of goes with our billboard back here, or Jumbotron, whatever it's trying. I think it's like a video Jumbotron thing, is what they're trying to get at. But there's some really good episodes. That's called Night of the Clones, if you guys want to look it up. It's probably on YouTube, more than likely. So you can definitely look that up, unless the copyright ninjas have taken it down. All right, there's our little satellite dishes there. Oh, okay. So this thing is so tall that you put an entire other one of these under it. So this will be the thing that produces a whole lot of the height that's listed on the box. So I was kind of wondering when I was building it, I'm like, geez, they said it's like 33 inches tall. Is it really going to be that? Well, kinda. It is, it's this giant thing. Goodness gracious. This is like at least 12 inches of that total height. This thing's huge. If I can, okay. You see this? This is absolutely, it's wider than the base plate. I put it on here. Oh. Let me zoom out and show you guys exactly what this is. Look at this. It's halfway up the building. So I wouldn't say that's misleading. I would just say that, there's your height, if you're wondering. Well, that depends. Some people are kind of backwards. Some people are a little shy about that. I think some people are just a little less aware when they don't make contact. I mean, I hate to say it, I have friends that I don't make enough contact with, and that's on me. But it doesn't mean that I don't care. It's just one of those things. I think people get busy, and I think it's easy to forget. Not forget necessarily, but get distracted, I guess, is really what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Well, trust your instincts about it. Sometimes you can have a feeling about something and it can turn out right. And then sometimes our minds just play tricks on us and we worry about things that aren't really a problem. And I do think that worrying about if your friends are as good of friends with you as you are with them, I think that's something we all have insecurities about. I think there's not a human on the planet that hasn't felt that way at some point. Been a little concerned, maybe they weren't hearing from somebody, or we've all been there. All right, and this plugs in right there. Okay. And now for something completely different, we are going to be building what looks like a platform for Firestar. And I'm really, really happy that, other than obviously Dr. Octopus here in a few minutes when we get to him, this is one of the only other like big brick built things that a minifig gets. Of course, some of the other characters had some brick built items like the Green Goblin's glider, but that's obvious. Excuse me, that's obvious. But with Firestar, they really went to some trouble to make sure that she had like the Trail of Flames. I'm just hoping that whatever set that they do next, that's a Marvel set, I'm hoping that they shoehorn in Iceman in there some way or another, because it would be an incredible shame to only have Firestar and no Iceman. Gotta complete those amazing friends, Lego, come on. Very important here. I know that a custom Iceman would not be the most difficult thing, but I don't want to have to do that. Come on, Lego, throw us a bone. I would rather not be taking like a snowman and trying to pass him off as Iceman in my display. I mean, I'm not above it. I'll do it. But hey, how about Lego Olaf? Put him in there from the Frozen stuff and just say that is Iceman. Have him running along Spider-Man and Firestar. Call it a day. So, hey, look at him. Wow. Ignore the carrot. So it looks like, just like in the Ghostbusters Firehouse set, they had the transparent arms that you would put Slimer and the other ghost on. It looks like a similar kind of deal is happening for Firestar here, that we'll be able to display her like off to the side of the Daily Bugle. That is actually pretty cool. Like that as an idea. Okay, then we plug in the other piece into the bottom. And we've got Blast Off. All right. We're dipping into the fire effect pieces from the Fire Effects bag. There it is. For a second there, I thought we were missing one of the Fire Effects pieces. Like I said, I'm starting to get a little paranoid now that we're near the end of the build. It's like, is this going to be where it all falls apart? I'm missing half the roof. I think I'm clear on the roof by now. I think the roof is done. They've just not directed me to put it on yet. Okay. Just a little bit more. Get a little plug-in part for this, and then we get the big blast effect of Firestar's powers. I can't say enough how glad I am that they actually went the distance in terms of making sure that Firestar actually got a build. That is something that I didn't expect, and something I'm glad to see happen. I really thought that it would just be a minifig. I'm so glad to see it turn into something a little bit more. Could you imagine a brick-built ice slide for Iceman? That would be pretty cool, actually. And that was not even supposed to be an ice pun. I promise you. I'm not Schwarzenegger, Mr. Freeze. Chill, chill. All right. We'll take Jessica here. And, whoops. Okay. Wow, looks really good. On focus camera. There we go. Whee. Looks nice. Oh, I see. And this plugs in to the top, to the side of the tower, because we've got this little ball bearing piece, and get that into the transparent piece. And I'll have to readjust so you guys can see. Pretty nice, I have to say. Love how that turned out. That is great. Okay, are they going to direct us to plug it into the top now? Maybe, possibly. Yep. We have almost completed the entire building now. So let's go ahead and all right, now it is indeed time to put this on the top of the building. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, to make this happen, I have to travel up here, and I run out of background, and I'm getting in the way of my light. So let me change that over here. There we go. Now it's just my couch back here and my display of stuff. It's behind the scenes, literally. All right. This thing is huge. There we go. Clicked right into place. Okay. I'm gonna have to go way back. This is my made-up display so that I can, my backdrop, so that I could have as much of the infinite white as I could. Here's the Turtles arcade over here. All right. Good. Impromptu fanboy room tour. Here we go. Good times. Hello. Have everything all laid out here. Maybe I need to do a room tour. Maybe that's something we need to do. All right, Firestar, you chill right there, and we're going to build some other stuff. All right, last bag. You guys ready for the last bag? What do you say? Think we should do a different live stream, or do you think we should wrap it up? This is it. What do you think? Finish it up? Your wish is my command. This is a little bag. It's not the only one. And by golly, wouldn't you know it, he's finally made an appearance. Okay. And this is the other bag, the last one. Sweet 16. And as you can see, it is a lot of pieces that will be used to build the Spider-Mobile. Oh, the excitement, the thrills, the chills of the Spider-Mobile. A car far, far more famous than the Batmobile. Will do, will do. Far more famous. I'm trying to remember. I do think that, was it Roger Stern? Can't remember which Spider-Man writer or creative was on the book at that time, but there is a story behind why the Spider-Mobile was even introduced. And I think it had something to do with the toys, or Mego, the toy company that had the Spider-Man license at the time. I think they were asked to introduce the Spider-Mobile, and they all thought it was stupid, so they decided that it would just be a joke, which is, I guess that's, you know, if you don't creatively believe in something, I guess that's a way. It's a way to make it happen, I suppose. All right, let's build Spider-Man. Let's make it happen. I want many figs of Spider-Man. All right, there we go. There he is. Oh, his head. Yeah. Could be important. Could be, Chief. There we go. Well, what do you know? A Lego Spider-Man after all this time building the set. And I do appreciate that we have all the back detail. We have printing on the arms, which is a rarity. We do have dual molded legs. Of course, there's no printing on the legs to get the spider webs on there. That is the literal last thing they need to do for this to be perfect. But, you know, I understand why it's not there. There is back printing on the back of the mask, and it is straight. It's well aligned. And the white eyes look pretty good on the red mask. It's looks better than Spider-Ham's did. Spider-Ham's ended up looking pink, which, you know, it's just kind of the way it is. Spider-Man also comes with an actual segmented rope that you don't have to assemble or anything like that. So that's going to be extra good for trying to get, you know, web poses and all that. And it's going to be very flexible for all that. So I actually would have liked it if they'd included 2 or 3 of those. I would have had no complaints, actually, if there were several of those. For now, we're just going to have Spider-Man hang out, literally. Or fall over, either one. Either one. We're open to suggestions at this point. I'm just gonna put him down here for now because I think he's gonna go on the Spider-Mobile. Okay, so before we can build the Spider-Mobile, there is one element to the building left, and you may have guessed it. It is the Daily Bugle sign. So I'm excited about this. I do love that it is brick built with the letters and everything. I think that's terrific. And that was something that I think was a real surprise when I saw it. I remember when the rumors first started about the Daily Bugle giant set. In my head, I thought, well, you know, prepare yourself because you're going to have big sticker panels as the sign for the Daily Bugle. I'm really glad to say that that wasn't the case. We have big brick-built letters. It's not big giant stickers, and that would have been, I think, disastrous. It would have cheapened the look of the set. I'm glad that they went the other way with it. And, you know, and if they had attempted to have made it like the Flatiron building is, I think that's what they call it in New York. You all correct me if I'm wrong. But with the Flatiron building, if they were going to do that version of it, it would have, I don't think it would have been as dynamic as this. They probably couldn't do that version of it, honestly, for copyright stuff. But that's what it was like in the Raimi films. All right, we have Dr. Octopus, and I do believe this is the very last minifig. The very last one. And he has quite a bit of, well, a little bit of building that goes with him here. We have solemn face. We have evil smirk, or evil full tooth grin. I like this, but I really wished that they would have done the classic Dr. Octopus outfit for this. And they've done it before, so I understand why they're wanting to do something new. But this is the same, I think this is the same Dr. Octopus you can get in like the mech set. And maybe some of you all have that and can tell me for sure if that's the case. But I really would have liked it to have just been classic and not pseudo-modern. This, if I could compare this to anything, and maybe this is what he wears in the comics now. I've not read a Spider-Man comic in a few years, so maybe I just don't know. Maybe I'm not hip anymore. But I don't know. I would have liked it better if he was wearing the classic green and yellow. That would have been nice. Okay. So for each one of these arms, the deal is that you put one of these studs onto one of these. And then, and I love this because this is going to lead to an incredible amount of articulation. You do this 7 times, and then you just attach these into the previous ones. So what you're going to get is a whole lot of rotation. And I mean, it would have been nice, I guess, if they were on little ball joints the whole way. But that would have maybe compromised it structurally, so I get why they didn't do that. I guess it would have been kind of a mess, but it would have been much more fun to flex around, maybe. Okay. So it's going to be a lot easier for me to just connect these off camera and then show you as I get done, and then we'll add them to DocOc as we go. I don't own any of the Ramey era minifigs. And, you know, they were from a time when I really wasn't into Lego. But I would really like say, the old Green Goblin minifig, even though I wasn't a big fan of that costume. I still think just for history, it would be nice. It would also be nice to have the Alfred Molina Dr. Octopus from Spider-Man 2. Do any of you all have any of those from back in the day? Or are you like me and you didn't really come to this hobby until far later? Even though I was a kid at the time, it's funny, it was not till I was a teenager that I really found any true interest in the hobby, which is weird, you know, but it's honestly, I just couldn't. I think Star Wars, some of those sets brought me into it. That was some of the very first Lego sets I ever got, was the Star Wars sets. Because that's how you would have hooked me, with Star Wars. Oh yeah, that's cool. I like the effect of this. This is nice. Really like that. All right, we just do that 4 more times. I'll be a little quicker now. I kind of know what I'm doing. Notice I say I kind of know what I'm doing. I just wonder if any of the other Dr. Octopuses or Dr. Octopies that they have out, I wonder if any of them have this same method where you build the arms like this, or is it totally different? I know that they kind of cheat it with the mech set, that 2-pack that they have out now, where I think it's just the mech suit. And I think that's actually a pretty cool looking set, but I never like it when they make Doc Ock's arms like some kind of big build or something exaggerated. I mean, Dr. Octopus's arms don't really need any help. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1 more. I think Doc Ock is ferocious enough. I am reminded of some old John Romita Sr. artwork from back in the day. And it's one of my favorite panels for whatever reason. And it's when Peter is really, really, really sick. And he's trying to fight Doc Ock, but he is losing his powers because he's gotten the flu or something. He's gotten spider sickness, we'll call it. Which, by the way, Spider-Man 2 did a pretty decent job of adapting Peter, in that case, being mentally sick and losing his powers. But he's physically sick in this story. And he almost gets killed by Dr. Octopus. And it's a really harrowing battle as Spider-Man realizes that he just can't fight him. And he runs away. And then, after he runs, he still is being tracked by Doc Ock's tentacles. And he eventually slides himself between 2 buildings. And when he's in there, Doc Ock's tentacles keep hunting for him because he's able to extend them, so far. And there's this tense moment where Peter is just trying to stay hugged up against the wall as close as he can, trying not to breathe so that the sensors on the tentacles won't realize that he's there. I mean, they're blind, but Doc Ock clearly has some kind of sensors in them to where he can sort of see in that way. And I just thought that was just so intense. And when I was a kid and I read that, it just really, man, I just thought this is some serious stuff. And it made me see Doc Ock as a super dangerous villain, just in a physical sense, to Spider-Man. So it's funny to see that the Lego designers, I think, also must hold Doc Ock as a final boss regard. That's what we're going to call him. 2, 3, 4, 5. Because they have him as the last villain that you build. He is the one on the top of the roof that's fighting Spider-Man. And it feels very finalic, I guess. It's very, like I said, it's final boss. It's the big challenge at the top. So I definitely sense a great deal of love for Dr. Octopus. And what's great is this rig that we're building with these arms. You could take this rig and you could put it on any Doc Ock minifig that you have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. And what's great about that is that they've done classical versions of Dr. Octopus. And you know what? Sue me, I may very well get on Bricklink and I may get one of those because I really do prefer Doc Ock's classic look. Call me crazy, but it's just not the same. You know, we all know now that Alfred Molina is going to be back as Doc Ock. And the truth is, I have no idea, you know, where were they ever going to find somebody that would have been better than him to play Dr. Octopus? I mean, he's fantastic. And he's going to be back in Spider-Man No Way Home. But I have a suggestion for them, and I'm sure they've already filmed this scene, so it's probably falling on deaf ears. My suggestion is put him in green and yellow. I'm not saying like an exact replication of the John Romita design or whatever. That would be silly. But I'm saying do something to where Doc Ock is wearing like a battle suit and not just a big trench coat like he was in the Raimi films. And that's fine. Trench coat look is fine. But with the MCU, things are so much more colorful and comic book-esque. I think they could get creative and really do something special. I mean, let's think for a second about how they did the Vulture. The Vulture, even though that costume is totally ridiculous and would never work in live action in those classic comics, they found a way to where it's pretty good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it still reminds you, I think, very much of that classic 60s costume. That is, I mean, to me, they were able to get the main things about it correct. I'm not crazy over the Vulture wearing a mask, but hopefully in Far From Home, and let's hope Michael Keaton is in, not Far From Home, let's hope that Michael Keaton is in No Way Home. And if he is, and everybody already knows, you know, that it's Adrian Toomes is the Vulture, maybe there won't be a reason for him to wear a mask. I'm sure he'll still wear his battle helmet, but it would just be more cool to see bald Michael Keaton looking much more comic booky, you know, as the Vulture. Oh, yeah, I like this. This is nice. Turned out far better than I thought it would have. And the great thing is, as you're building these, it's just kind of random the way you have them turned. So you have a very organic looking set of Doc Ock arms. As a matter of fact, you could bring them down like this, and he could, oh, by golly, yeah, look at that. Just like the old comics where Doc Ock is prancing around on the arms. I love it. And what's great is it is really, really, really easy to get these pieces. You know, you can just order a bunch from Bricklink for a couple of bucks and extend these arms out to where they're like way out here, and you could have some epic displays. Yeah, Lego has definitely done something cool here. Yeah, it's going to be hard for me not to order a bunch of extras and just go for it. All right, that's enough Dr. Octopus. Let's go ahead and let's build the Daily Bugle sign. So let's start with the backing for the sign. And after the sign, I do think that it's only the Spider-Mobile left. And then we are out. We are done. We'll get to see how it all looks together. All right. Get some of these. I do believe we are just building where the letters mount. Just creating a solid backing for that. This is going to look great once we have it all done. I'm actually very excited about it. Okay. Just making sure I'm getting the right pieces here. It's on the bottom. You know, I will say building like a vertical oh yeah, man. I'm glad that you're feeling better after that. That's a traumatic thing to go through. I remember when my grandma passed, and it was really tough for me, like really tough. And I was already going through kind of a sad time in my life anyway, and that didn't help things, so. But then, one night, I had a dream. It's a true story. And it was my granny that come to me in this dream, and she told me to quit it. She said, she looked right at me, and she said, "Now," she's like, she's like, "You better cheer up right now." That's really, really what happened. And it seemed like after that, I felt better. Now, I know that's not going to happen for everybody in that situation, but it was a wild thing, let me tell you, and just what I needed, I think, at the time. We deal with things. Whoops, I hit my camera. I'll blame it on Dr. Octopus. All right, we all deal with things in different ways, and some of us, you know, some of us, I guess, have dreams sometimes. I bet every one of us here has had a dream in a really stressful time that either made it worse or gave us direction during that time. I try not to put a whole lot of stock into my dreams, but I think some of them, you know, when there's something that's good for you, something that's a sign, if you will, something from the good Lord, perhaps. Of course, I'm a optimistic person, so I'm always looking for the best if I can find it. And usually I can, if I look hard enough. And our families, they love us. And I'm sure they want the best for us even after they're gone. But that doesn't make it any easier. It really doesn't. You know, building, the act of building, and Lego being just one example of this. Just the act of building, the act of creating. I think that's a healing process that we're probably naturally wired to participate in, just as humans. I think we are. You know, my personal belief, and I won't get too much into that because I know that that's not why people watch Lego live streams. You know, I believe that we're made in the image of God, and I see God as a creator, universal creator. So I definitely feel like we are cast in that kind of mold, you know, that we're made to want to build. We want to create. We want to make things. We want to leave things better than the way we found them. We want to make something out of nothing. And those are all good impulses and healthy impulses for us, I think, to explore. And Lego therapy, huh? Whoever would have thought. Any of you guys use Lego as therapy? I do. And different things help different people, but just building something that is relatively stress-free, I think that's a healthy way to deal with things. Something I used to enjoy doing is, you know, I didn't always enjoy watching the same things my dad did on TV, but he did always enjoy watching This Old House and the New Yankee Workshop on KET, the Kentucky version of PBS. And I am a Kentucky boy, after all. And he loved watching these. And after a while, even though I wasn't really into them at first, after a while, I really did start to enjoy watching Norm Abram build things. And it was something that could make me feel calm after kind of a crazy week or a hectic week. And sounds funny, but even as a kid, you know, I could get into watching something about someone building. And I was always fascinated by the insane tools that he was using, which, thank God, you know, building Lego doesn't require the use of any complex tools. The brick separator, that could be maybe the most complex, right? Oh, the things I've seen people do with brick separators. We all have like 50 million brick separators by now, right? Like they're just all over the place. And I've seen all sorts of things where people have suggested different ways of utilizing your brick separators to do like little mini builds. And I always think that's so clever. I love seeing people come up with different things you can do with them. And I don't even know if those are legal building techniques that they're using, but it's fun to watch anyway. Look at that. That looks great. Those guys at Lego, they know how to build their Lego letters, clearly. Look at that, hardest one of all. I want to do a custom of this where it's just misspelled. That's it. There's nothing creative about it. It's like Dolly Bugle. Dolly Parton Bugle. It's based in Tennessee, I hear. Lovely newspaper. Lovely. Oh yeah, looking good. All right, this one's a little more complex, the Y. No, not that one. There it is. It's amazing that something that's going to be such a big part of just the overall look, the overall look of the building, that it's going to be, that it's built so quickly. It's so uncomplicated. And you have other things that took, you know, what felt like forever at the time. And those, whereas this, you'll see that's so bold. Isn't that the way, though, at the end? One of these big direct-to-consumer builds, at the end you have this motif. It's so large that ends up defining a lot of the look of the thing. Okay, right there, daily. Well, you know, service is a great way to look at your life. And, you know, just one way that your life is valuable, and your life truly is valuable. I mean, think about it. You know, we're hanging out right now. It's very valuable to me because, you know, it's friendship and good things, lots of good things in life. And I have often found, and this is the truth, I've often found that that a lot of my negativity, a lot of the times when I think most negatively about life, that those are short-term feelings that really, honestly, dissipate pretty quickly. It's just because they're so unpleasant that they feel like they stick around longer than they actually do. And I think that sometimes that tricks us a little bit. think we have negative thoughts and we just think, you know, or we feel depressed or we feel sad. And we think that that is just going to last forever. And then it doesn't. And then one day you wake up and you're like, man, I'm glad I didn't do anything stupid or I didn't do anything crazy, because it turns out that that was just a temporary thing. And that's not always easy to see. It's easy for me to say that, but that's not always easy to see. But I have found again and again that that is the case. Which, you know, honestly, sometimes just outlasting, you know, proving that you're stronger than that negativity. Sometimes that it's just a waiting game, man. And that's the truth. It has been for me, in my experience. I've literally waited myself out, just trying to see if I can turn things around. It's a funny feeling, but one that I've related to through my life. Right. So you. At this point, do I just change the sign to daily bus? Daily bug? Daily buck? Daily buddy. Welcome to Daily Buddy. I have no idea why I was impersonating Roadblock from G.I. Joe there for just a moment. Because it made me happy, okay? Daily Uncle Buck. Uncle Buck, one of the greatest comedies ever. I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop and finding out that John Hughes, that secretly it was like a team of 60 people who wrote all the John Hughes movies. Because I consistently have a hard time believing that this one guy came up with all these different incredible movies. I mean, it's like a streak that has never been repeated and probably never will be repeated when it comes to film writing. I think John Hughes is kind of a gold standard, isn't he? I wonder what your all's favorite John Hughes films are. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is awful high up there for me. What a movie. And a lot of people forget that Christmas Vacation is a John Hughes written film. Of course, he wrote the original Vacation, I believe. And I think that he said that that was all about his dad's failed vacations that he experienced firsthand and suffered through as a kid. So, little did his dad know that in his failure, he was inspiring joy that would be brought to millions. See, just another example of unexpected good things. Hey, check it out, guys. It's the Daily Bug, my favorite tabloid newspaper. Oh, we have another big challenge here. We've got indeed, it is the L. See, and I say that, and now I'm struggling to find the piece. There it is. Okay, got that. We're getting close now. There's our L. Daily Bugle. It's actually Italian. Daily Bugle. I promise I won't do that again. Please, don't turn the live stream off, please. I'm lonely. Please, stick around. Maybe I should do like some of the other live streamers do, where it's like, I'm not seeing any super chats, guys. Can I see a super chat? Beg for money like they do. Then makes the whole live stream awkward. Everybody's just sitting there like, what do we do? I imagine it's the same. It's the online equivalent of having someone panhandling as you attempt to walk by like you're minding your own business. Only here it's like, guys, I'm not seeing any of those super chats. Where's my super chats? That's really what it is. Ah, there we go. Sometimes you want to go where every reporter knows your name. And they're always glad you came. Maybe that's what we need, a sitcom done in the style of Cheers. All about the Daily Bugle. Have Robbie Robertson can take the role of Cliff. Then Norm can we can have, I don't know, we'll bring Flash Thompson in or something. Just whatever. Okay. And this goes down here. And I think this is where we put the actual Bugle logo for the Daily Bugle. Okay. Here's the clips. I'd watch it, Kayla. I have no shame. I'd be there every episode. Be hotly anticipating it. It's the latest. They run out of stuff on Disney Plus. The Marvel shows. So it's just a matter. Yeah, just use the same theme song. And so you have J. Jonah Jameson. He could be like Ted Danson, but a much meaner version of Sam. And then I wonder who could take the role of Frasier. Here, I've got it. What if, and hear me out on this, what if Frasier is just in the show? And he's doing his radio broadcast, his self-help show, as literally just like an extension of the Daily Bugle's publishing wing. It's like, or Frasier could write the self-help column, like the Ask Frasier column. Surely Frasier must be the most successful spinoff, like strict spinoff. I know that there's some things that are spinoffs and nobody ever knows they're a spinoff. Like Family Matters, nobody has a clue that that's a spinoff from Perfect Strangers, or at least most people don't. But with Frasier, that has to be the most successful, like everybody knows it's a spinoff kind of spinoff ever. I mean, who ever would have thought that? I believe Frasier ended up running longer than Cheers did. And that seems insane. Look at that. Man, that's nice. Love the Bugle motif there. All right. All right, so it's time to mount the sign, and I'm going to put these two little pieces up there, and these are kind of the cradles for the sign to adhere to. And we built those supports earlier. I'm going to try to do this to where you guys can see it while doing this one-handed, because my tripod's not going to go up quite that high. But yeah, I think I can do it while lining it up correctly, which could be the challenge. All right. partially connected. Oh man, one-handed, challenging. How about this? I promise I'll show you guys right after, right after it connects. And just so you know, it is being connected. Just gotta walk by faith, not by sight. All right. Okay. All right. All right. It's done. It's done. Here we go. Ta-da! Here is the completed Daily Bugle building. Wow. That is fantastic. Spider-Man is so excited he passed out. Come on, Spider-Man. There you go. So the only thing that's left is to build the Spider-Mobile, the Spider Buggy. So let's see what we can do. After that, it's over. Okay. And we start out just with the base. And this is a really tiny little like mini vehicle. So I do not think it's going to take all that long to build. All right. You can see there's very few pieces left, so there can't be too much to this thing. Although I really do like this mini scale of vehicle. It's kind of like in some of the Star Wars sets, they do a mini scale of vehicle that isn't like a screen accurate scale. Instead, it's just big enough to cram one minifigure into it. They did it with the Slave 1 and the Cloud City Betrayal set, a set that I really wanted but did not realize it was even out until it retired. So, sad times. Cannot believe that I goofed up on that one. But now I keep my ear to the ground a lot more closely for Lego sets. So that was on me. Of course, I think it was only available for like a year or something, which is an insanely short amount of time for a Lego set. So the sales must have not been what they'd hoped because they put that thing out of production quick. And then Darth Vader's castle, which is, I don't really buy any Star Wars sets, but Vader's castle is one that actually appeals to me. And like hardly, you know, I've kind of give up on trying to keep up with Star Wars in Lego form. It has Vader's advanced TIE fighter, but it's in that mini scale. It's like very tiny. But I like it because it's almost like a challenge for the designers. Like they're trying to cram in all this detail into this small, minuscule little scale. And it's actually really fun to see what they can do. It's like it's almost like a design challenge, which is something I would like to see them do on the Lego Masters show, is have a challenge where it's like, okay, you can build this vehicle, but it has to be this many studs, and it has to accommodate minifigs, and those are your parameters. It must be minifig scale. I would actually really like that. Of course, those are the kinds of challenges I think that people wouldn't, I guess more average people wouldn't really understand as much or be as enticed by. I think they want to see just like artwork done in Lego. Whereas I think we're more about minifig scale. Right. All right, I goofed up on a little something there, but I fixed it. Here's the front. Yeah, this thing's tiny. This thing's tiny. Fix one more little thing here. Okay. Almost looks more like an ATV, doesn't it? We do have a tiny little bit of stickering that needs to happen here. after this, we only have a couple of stickers left. Yeah, you can tell this is mini scale because these are the headlights. That's right. We're not in the realm of brick built anymore. This is just a stickered detail, which kind of, and I'm not at all trying to rip on it because I definitely think this is like a little bonus thing you get that's based on the comics, but I do think that this was probably maybe kind of a last second addition where they were like, you know what, let's put in a little something more, which I appreciate, you know, do something else with it. Yep, there we go. And we're gonna, definitely a spider buggy. It is tiny. All right, just a couple more pieces to go. Not many. Okay, wheel well. I want to thank everybody who has stuck with me through this process when you could. I have never ever live streamed something to such an extent, so I've been very new to it. This really isn't, the channel itself was, you know, really isn't usually a live stream channel. It's more of just a news and reviews. So, but it's been fun to try something a little different. Sometimes it's good just to shake things up. And why would I do straight up Lego reviews and news videos when there's so many people that do it far better than I'll ever be able to do it? I guess that's a defeatist attitude, but with this, at least we have an excuse to hang out and chat. So at least Lego can still be used to just be something fun. Definitely very stress-free kind of, hopefully just a fun atmosphere, not anything too structured. I saw a live stream the other day where someone was building something and they had like guest appearances by other YouTubers who were like joining them. And that's fine, you know, if that's what you're into, I guess. But it seemed to be really distracting from the actual build itself. It's a little self-important, if you ask me. I'd much rather let the build do the talking. All right, this must be the tailpipe and tail light, I think. Just gonna put that on the back there, yeah. I think Spider-Man, I think, has a tail light out. He probably needs to get that looked at. Of course, knowing Spidey's luck, he will, I'm sure, get a ticket and probably won't be able to pay it. So he's gonna have to hire Matt Murdock to help him fight a ticket for a brake light. I wonder if he would lower himself to kind of the lower standard of court appearance. Okay. And we have the panel on the other side. We are almost done, friends. Just about another minute, I think, of build time, and we've about got it. We are building the doors. I had some great songs. All right. Then we have our last two stickers, and this is the Spider-Man webs that are just decorations on the sides of the Spider-Mobile. The Spider-Mo car. That's what we're going to call it, just for fun. I'd be ashamed to mess up now. Might as well get it how I want it. You do not want to have to try to pry Lego stickers back off after you have them adhered. Okay, that looks pretty good. And the last sticker of the set, of course, Lego will be sending me a replacement sticker sheet because there was one that was cut horribly off center. That was the meme Spider-Man portrait that's in one of the Daily Bugle offices. So I'll be seeing a duplicate sheet of stickers, but that's okay. At least all the other ones are good. That's all right. All right, we're gonna apply the webs and apply this one. Love that detail on the side. That's actually kind of neat. Then Spider-Man looks like has a roll cage on the top here, which is kind of fun. And definitely a very cartoony, exaggerated roll cage. Nothing legitimate about this one, I'm afraid. Hope Spider-Man has insurance. I have a feeling that Spider-Man has only minimum coverage. He's got liability. That's it. We all know that poor Peter isn't going to be able to... I think Peter's going to have to go to the General, right? That's the one Shaq advertises to. Maybe the General can help him out. That's what the General needs next, is superhero endorsements. Okay. We just have a couple more things. We've got this, and this looks like the windshield portion. Then I believe we just put the tires on and we're done. Oh wow, this is just, this is like, it's gonna be like with a wink and a nod that this thing is supposed to be the windshield, because I think these are just little angled pieces that are just meeting in the middle, and that's it. Yeah. That's hilarious. There's nothing even like keeping those together. You're just gotta kind of align them on your own. Oh man, they cut some corners with this last vehicle, didn't they? Like, throw it in. See, look at this. You flex it and it comes apart. I'm gonna have to come up with a better solution to that. I don't like that very much. It's the one negative comment I have is saved for the very end, clearly. Okay. They want to give you something to complain about right there at the end. Well, it's been far too smooth so far. Okay, and could be looking at the last steps here. You're putting the tires, putting the tire wells in, if they'll go. Wow, these are a tight fit. There we go. I think I was putting them in the wrong ones. Okay. These littler ones go and these smaller ones. Yep. And we have the axle that connects them. I think that's the right term. And the smaller ones, smaller ones don't need an axle. The bigger ones do. Okay, and that just threads through the back. And what's interesting is they have two different styles of connection here. We have the axle that holds on the bigger ones in the back, and yeah, we actually need to thread these on. Almost forgot it. Okay. And then that threads through. And we add another little spacer in there. Okay. do believe this is the last step of the build. So here we go. There's that one. It'd be a shame to have these turned around the wrong way, which I almost did. For the last step. Get my wheels turned around the right way before the last connection. Okay, and one last one, then we're done. And that's a wrap. All right, we have our spider car all finished up, and this actually, in the comics, it can drive up walls, and it was really just meant to be more of a joke thing. So I definitely understand why there wasn't a huge amount of trouble or effort put into this thing. But let me show you. So we go up here, and if you look, if I can get this, there we go. So if you look, there's this little connector plate, and that is where this connects. You can connect it at any point, and you can also rotate it, which is a neat little feature. And yeah, there it is, climbing up the side of the now completed Daily Bugle. And then we have some extra pieces, quite a few actually. And this is our extra piece pile. I'll add these guys to it. Lots of good stuff in here. Definitely some interesting extra pieces that we get here. I am glad to see some extra web pieces, which will be utilized, I think, with play in the set. And of course, there's so many webbed warriors here that you're going to be having a lot of different things you can do. Of course, the fun of this set is the modular nature of it. And, you know, everything can be disconnected and reconfigured and stacked up all over again. So what I plan on doing is, even though, you know, there's no way I'm going to be able to do as good a job as the myriad of Lego YouTubers out there, I do plan on maybe doing a little wrap-up video that will just be a separate upload. It won't be live. But I am really satisfied with how everything turned out, from the very smallest details all the way to the very biggest at the top. There's just so much fun to be had here, and the thing is huge. It really is gigantic, and it's going to be fun to have this just on display. I think it'll look great down here in the collection room. And like I said, maybe we'll do a collection tour sometime. I think that might be pretty fun. There's different rooms full of different things as we go. So as always, I want to thank you guys for joining me. It's been a really fun adventure putting this thing together. And definitely across, 7 or 8 parts, live streams. It had a lot of great times, a lot of great conversation. And I want to thank you all. Truly, I've got the best subscribers. I've got the best watchers. You guys really make it worth doing. So thank you all so much. God bless each and every one of you. Have a great night. Take care.